George Gordon, 2nd Earl of Huntly, was a Scottish nobleman and Chancellor of Scotland from 1498 to 1501. Life. George was the son of Alexander Gordon, 1st Earl of Huntly, and his second wife Elizabeth Crichton, daughter of William Crichton, 1st Lord Crichton. George is first mentioned by name in 1441 when the lands which later became part of the earldom were settled on him and his heirs. George was almost certainly born shortly before this time, c. 1441, as his parents married before the 18th of March 1439–40. In his contract with Elizabeth Dunbar, Countess of Moray, dated the 20th of May 1455, he is styled the Master of Huntly. He is addressed as Sir George Seton, Knight, in a royal precept dated the 7th of March 1456–7, and in a crown charter dated a year later he uses the name of Gordon for the first time, indicating he had assumed that surname. As George Lord Gordon, he was keeper of the castles of Kildrummie, Kindroch and Inverness. He succeeded his father as Earl of Huntly c. the 15th of July 1470. Shortly after becoming Earl of Huntly, he was involved with the Earl of Ross in a private war in which the King, James III of Scotland, interceded. Ross was charged with treason, but after refusing a summons from the King, was outlawed. One of the expeditions sent against the errant Earl of Ross was led by Alexander. After he captured Dingwall Castle and pressed his army into Lochaber, Ross relented and sought pardon for his actions from the king. In 1479 he was justiciary north of the River Forth. One of his primary duties was the suppression of feuds between Highland clans. In 1497 George Gordon was appointed High Chancellor of Scotland, the honour probably bestowed at the same time as his daughter Catherine married Perkin Warbeck, an adventurer in favour with King James IV of Scotland. George was Chancellor until 1500. George, the second Earl, died at Stirling Castle on 8 June 1501. Family. On 20 May 1455, George was contracted to marry Elizabeth Dunbar, the daughter of John Dunbar, 4th Earl of Moray, and recent widow of Archibald Douglas, Earl of Moray. The marriage was annulled due to affinity before March 1459–60. The couple had no children. George secondly married, before March 1459–60, Annabella of Scotland, youngest daughter of King James I of Scotland. After several years of marriage, the Earl of Gordon instituted proceedings to have this marriage annulled as well, on the grounds that Lady Annabella was related in the third and fourth degrees of consanguinity to his first wife Elizabeth, and the marriage was dissolved on 24 July 1471. Gordon married, thirdly, Elizabeth Hay, sister of Nicholas Hay, 2nd Earl of Errol, George's brother-in-law, and swore a solemn oath to have no actual dealings with the lady until after they were married. He married Elizabeth Hay shortly after the 18th of August 1471. George Gordon, the second Earl, had a number of children, but with few exceptions there remains no clear consensus as to which child was of the second marriage and which of the third. Alexander Gordon, 3rd Earl of Huntly. Adam Gordon married Elizabeth, daughter and heir of John, 8th Earl of Sutherland, and in her right became Earl of Sutherland. William Gordon married Janet Ogilvie and was the ancestor of the Gordons of Guyt, from whom Lord Byron was a descendant. James Gordon, mentioned in an entail in 1498. Janet Gordon married, 1st, Alexander Lindsay, Master of Crawford, 2nd, Patrick, Master of Grey. Thirdly, she married Patrick Boutar of Gormark, and fourthly, James Halkeston of Southwood. She died before February 1559. Isabella, wife of William Hay, 3rd Earl of Errol. Elizabeth Gordon, in 1481 contracted to marry William Keith, 3rd Earl Mariscal. The Earl obtained an annulment on 24 July 1471 on the basis of Annabella of Scotland's consanguinity with Elizabeth Dunbar. He then married his mistress, Elizabeth Hay, on 12 May 1476. They had children. Lady Catherine Gordon, probably a daughter of Elizabeth Hay. She married 1st Perkin Warbeck, notorious for claiming to be Richard of Shrewsbury, 1st Duke of York, one of the young princes who disappeared from history in the Tower of London. As his widow she married to Ndly James Strangeways of Fifield. A widow again, she married Matthew Craddock of Swansea, and as her 4th husband married Christopher Ashton of Fifield. She was well received at the court of Henry VII, who styled her the White Rose. Quote, she had no issue by any of her husbands. Eleanor Gordon, Agnes Gordon,